I'm back, at least for the time being, but with my job situation that most of you know about, I believe that I have things positioned pretty much the way I need them, so I'm hoping that I will be able to have a little more regularity over the next few weeks. That sounds like a Miralax commercial. I'm referring, of course, to my video production. Many of you have wondered, by the way, how, with my lack of videos, have I been getting by without making fun of people who just do simple, stupid guesswork on their auto repair and just give advice from the Haynes manual and watch ScottyKilmer.com. And I will answer that by saying, yes, it has been difficult. But we will be able to make up for it today because this vehicle has an air conditioning problem, which, as you know, virtually every do-it-yourself hack that is going to try to fix an air conditioning problem will do it by adding refrigerant. This was provided to me by the vehicle owner, by the way. But we are not going to even use this, I am betting, because the symptoms are the vehicle owner states that he was actually at a red light. The air conditioning was working fine. He heard the compressor click off, and it just started blowing hot air ever since. Just on that description, based on our understanding of air conditioning from my other video on air conditioning diagnosis and understanding, which I'll put a link to, we know it is virtually impossible that that is going to be a refrigerant volume issue that would cause that symptom. So even if it was a possibility, there is no more reason to jump to you need refrigerant just because the AC blows hot than that there could be an electrical problem, a relay problem, a compressor clutch problem. There's no more reason to think that than anything else. So we are almost guaranteed not going to use this, so hopefully right off the bat we save 20 bucks over what the typical do-it-yourself hack would do. All right, so our theme for today is going to be some advice that I learned actually listening to the radio on the way home that is very applicable to this diagnostic situation. And on this advice on the radio, the gentleman was discussing, I believe, the topic of overcoming obstacles. And the advice that he shared was, when a problem comes along, you must whip it. Whip it good. Brilliant. Let's apply that. All right, and as many of you know, many of my objectors take issue with my apprehension at starting with a visual inspection. I have no objection to a visual inspection. I have objection to a visual inspection when you have no idea what you are looking for. So I have already done, of course, a visual inspection, and here is what we find. Well, we have an accumulator, a compressor, we have some wiring and some plugs. Yep, I don't see a big gaping hole in the system or anything like that. We have no idea what we are looking for in the slightest. Are we looking for a mechanical problem? Are we looking for an electrical problem? We have absolutely no idea. Here is a low pressure switch. I'm going to start my visual inspection here. Well, it's plugged in, so let's move on down the line. But is that a bad switch? Am I supposed to do an electrical test on that? I have no idea what is expected. Is it even an electrical problem in the first place? Here's a compressor. Hey, it's plugged in. That looks pretty good. What am I supposed to do here? What am I looking for? I have no idea. Does the clutch turn? It does. There is absolutely no indication of one thing over another. Well, here's something a little bit out of the ordinary. There's a wire harness that clearly some type of work has been done before. But that is obviously for the coil, so I don't believe that's going to be the problem. Maybe it is. This car is 20 years old. I guarantee you, if I do a visual inspection long enough, I will find at least a half a dozen problems with this car. But how do I know, even if I find an issue, if that is the issue that is causing this problem? I can spend all day fixing visual inspection issues without having any baseline of knowing if they have an effect on the actual problem. There is no point on continuing this visual inspection because you guys couldn't find anything either here. But of course, at the end of the video, when I do figure this out, I'm going to get all kinds of people saying they would have found it on their own visual inspection because they would have done it more thoroughly. Yeah, they sure would have in the area where I find the problem, wouldn't they? Hindsight is pretty much 20/20. But just because I am a do-it-yourselfer does not mean that I am not allowed to use a surgical, methodical approach here based on my understanding of the basics of the system. So that is what we are going to do, and the first thing I want to do is rule out, is this mechanical or is this electrical, so I can direct my visual in one of those directions. So the first thing I'm doing is turning on the AC, and I can see that the AC clutch is most definitely not spinning. If it were spinning, well, we would probably have some more serious issues, I would say, but with it not spinning, we know that our possibilities are a lack of refrigerant, a low or high pressure switch problem, or some type of electrical problem, or a mechanical problem with the clutch. So this actually does not help us much. So the first thing I want to do is rule out if this is mechanical or electrical by putting 12 volts to the clutch and seeing if I can get it to operate. And as part of my issue here, I cannot find my power probe, so activating this is going to be a little more challenging. So one of the first things I can do is, of course, check for voltage here. And let's just make sure we've got 12 volts coming here. And we most certainly do not. So that is actually interesting. So maybe when I did my visual inspection, I just walked right by the low pressure switch. Maybe that was the problem. Didn't catch it on the visual though, did I? But we definitely have a control issue here. We may also have a compressor clutch problem, but I'm not even going to bother putting 12 volts to that clutch. It is much more likely we have a control issue. Let me just plug it in and see if maybe it was a bad connection. Nope, most certainly wasn't. So we are going to chase an electrical issue. How easy was that? All right, and I actually did find my power probe here. I forgot where I left it, like 2 months ago or whenever I last used it. But let's try activating this real quick, and I guarantee you that this clutch is going to activate. I'm not even worried about it. All right, we can see that it activates. So this is going to be an electrical problem. Now, some people are going to take issue that it could also be a low volume with refrigerant. Based on that symptom, of course, that is just not possible. But since I've got my refrigerant tester hanging on the wall just to my left, let's just go ahead and rule that out real quick. And I am actually tempted while I'm here to also check this low pressure switch, because it just seems this cable is really tight. It looks like maybe this was replaced or something, and you know, this cable may have been pulled out or something, but my visual inspection isn't finding anything wrong, so it must be okay. But we're going to probably check that next, because this is definitely not going to be anything but a waste of time here. But let me go ahead and put this up where you can see it, and I'll just hold it there. This will just take a second. So we're going to get, I'm sure, pressure there. We've got, so it just jumped right up to 75. Now, a lot of people misunderstand this. I talked about this in the other video. This, contrary to popular belief, does not indicate that we have proper charge in the system. But what we do know just from this reading here is that this is, like I said, going to be an electrical problem, because we do know we have sufficient pressure, even if it's not sufficient system pressure, we do have sufficient pressure to close the low pressure switch. That we do know. So volume has been ruled out, at least as far as the clutch activation issue. There still may be low refrigerant in the system though, but that is not a concern at all. This is not why the clutch isn't operating, so let's move on to something else. All right, and we have our switch being tested here. So we see no volts on there, of course indicating the switch is probably working, I would imagine. Oh, sorry about the glare. Let's remove that. So there you can see the no volts. Obviously no potential there. Switch is probably working. Easily proved by unplugging it. We see our 12 volts there. No question this switch works. There's no other explanation other than we have low pressure switch operating. So we can rule that out. All right, at this point, I want to narrow down where I need to do my visual inspection. But as mentioned, the visual inspection is 100% guaranteed. It has to be electrical here. So what I want to do is find my relay. And, oh, there's a fuse right next to the relay, but actually I'll be able to kill two birds with one stone anyway. We could test the fuse. That is definitely a very viable possibility, but what I want to do is test this relay here. And get this out of here. And what I want to do is, of course, your typical hack is going to do the, click the relay test here. Well, guess what, folks? We got an electrical problem that may not apply in this situation here. So we have to do this more of a strategic way. Could be a bad relay, but most likely not. Actually, the relay next to it is identical, it looks like, so we could just swap relays. That's not a bad strategy, actually, and that's actually a viable strategy. But what isn't is just doing the thing where you try to plug it in and unplug it. Well, if we have a lack of relay activity doing that, is that because there's no power to the control side, or is it because the relay is bad? You do not know. So it's a pretty stupid method, honestly. We have, let's see, 85 and 86 are control. 87 and 30 load side, and it looks like this is going to be pretty easy. So let me go ahead and turn this thing on again, and let's at least test our relay port. All right, I am not sure if I need the engine running to do this, but what I want to do is obviously test our control side here, and we can rule that out. We have battery voltage at the control side. So we are actually down to a load side problem now. We already have a diagnosis on this. There is a compressor clutch control issue here. Now I don't know if I need the car running for this load side test. I don't think I do, but well, maybe I do, but we see our problem here. Let me make sure I'm making contact there. I most definitely am, and we can see that we've got a diagnosis now. Which is good because I actually no longer fix cars. I don't have time. I just do the free diagnoses now, just as a charity thing. So people are on their own to get the repair, but we'll maybe take a look at this since we already now have a targeted direction. But we definitely do not have, whoa, what happened to my voltmeter? Oh no, there we go. We definitely do not have control to this clutch. Now is this a ground or a power thing, though? I may need the car running. Well, actually, how easy is this? We'll just test it on the ground here. So that's the ground. So let's see if there's power here. And, oh, there most definitely is. Let me get on a good, I don't have a good ground. But, wow, okay. So there is definitely power to here. But we did not measure it at the compressor, right? That's right, that's right. We did not see it at the compressor switch. So we have a diagnosis. We are done. Diagnosis complete. We have a lack of power at the compressor. There is an open in the wiring to the compressor. That is the diagnosis. So how easy is that? Now, if we wanted to do a visual inspection, we know exactly where to do that visual inspection, and we will easily find an open. So this is a very quick, easy diagnosis, and as you can see, this definitely beats looking over all of the wiring everywhere without having a clue what you're looking for. Now we know exactly where to look. So I'm just going to give a quick look over, see if I can find this, and we should be able to fix this car. All right, we got some good news here. Let's see if we can find where that was. So we see a open wire there that I pulled out of kind of what was clearly a makeshift harness. You can see the black tape there, and the wire is actually, never really seen that before, but it's just absolutely perfectly cut in half. So I'm not sure if that was, this is clearly some kind of aftermarket repair, I can assure you of that, but why it's cut perfectly in half, maybe it came out of a butt connector or something. You can see the green wire there next to it, which is still intact, but that wire definitely is our issue. I also can very easily put a voltmeter on there and test for 12 volts. I guarantee you it will have 12 volts. Actually, that would be the smart thing to do, so I will do that off camera and then fix this wiring, and we will retest our system, and I'll bet it'll work. That should be in view there, so let's see. We already concluded we don't need the engine running to do this test now, but I did forget which is load, which is control, so let's just do them both here. That is, I don't know which that is, and I don't really care because the other one's going to have 12 volts now too. And it does. Wiring repair confirmed. I can put this relay back in, and when we start the car, that is going to run this clutch, I am positive. So let me zoom in on that. All right, let's see if it clicks on. And there it goes. So the only thing that's a variable now is, did we have proper air conditioning volume? We know we did, of course, because the air conditioner worked before this failure, right? So let me test the air output. Oh, it is cold, very cold. So we are done. That is a fix. How easy was that? All right, how simple was that? That is my favorite kind of video. Very simple, barely get dirty at all, and you fix it with your brain instead of hunting around like a monkey looking for coconuts. So I will take those all day. Best of part, I don't know how many videos I've got on my channels, but well over 150, I'm pretty sure. And the vast majority of them, like this one, no parts needed to do the repair. So we also saved the guy the 20 bucks he spent on the refrigerant because he will be able to return that since it wasn't opened. So thanks for watching. I hope you found this helpful. And remember, when a problem comes along, you must whip it.